Thanks to Harriet speaking to Brian and Bumo there. Lee, how timely has his return been? You know, coming back from the AFCON straight into that side against Man City.
Yeah, he's absolutely massive. I mean, he's been such a great signing for Manchester United, and I think he just proves what he actually brings to Manchester United in a different way. I think you look at the goals that he's scored and the way he's got that clever bit of movement, and also he's got that versatility of playing in wide areas. It's such key timing going into sort of the business end of the season, where you feel that can Manchester United really go and push on? I think they can do. I think with that change in formation, obviously change of manager for now, things are looking quite brightly, and a great start for Carrick.
Yeah, well, I mean, talking about a new signing in Brian and Bumo, someone that has announced that he's going to be leaving at the end of the season, Alan, is Casemiro. Do you think it's the right decision, right time for him?
Yeah, I think so. I think, his spell has been kind of indifferent. He's been brilliant at times, and other times it's just not been there.
Yeah.
So I think he also, his wage structure that they're talking about would be a big gap for Man United to fill. There'd be a lot of room for them. And I think it makes sense for him as well, because I think he spoke very well this week, Casemiro, about, he's done his time there, and he'll give everything toward the end. And I think that's all played out very well.
It's interesting what you say, that you think even like someone like that, and you look at the wages, even as a manager, you're looking at the wages, that package that it takes up. Interestingly enough, they're also looking at, potentially renewing for Kobbie Mainoo, getting him on a brand new deal. Is that all part of the thinking there, do you reckon?
It is, because, any Premier League club, you have a structure, and part of that structure, when you have big players on massive money, it does create a lot of room for you to manoeuvre. And Manu, who obviously was brilliant at the weekend and didn't really get a start, Amarin, it was all kind of speculation about what was going to happen to him. That looks secure now, and that will just be a small part of Casemiro's package.
Yeah, totally. And Lee, I mean, Kobbie Mainoo almost looked like a man reborn in that match, didn't he, just?
Yeah, it's just, he's been waiting, hasn't he? He's had to bide his time, and credit to him, because it's quite easy to get frustrated, not getting game time, and particularly that, we did see like a big impact from him when he sort of burst onto the scene, didn't he? And then all of a sudden he's not playing, and you're thinking, what is going on? Why?
It's a World Cup year as well. He wants to get in that team.
Exactly. And this is key. This is key times for big players like Mainoo, and credit to him. I mean, I really say that, and I genuinely mean it. Is that to actually step into the United shirt again and fulfil that role and put on a performance, just shows the calibre of player that they've got there.
I mean, it was a completely different Man United side to what, one of the best performances I've certainly seen from Man United in a good few years, and it all, looks like it's coming from one man, Michael Carrick. Alan, you managed Michael Carrick at West Ham. Did you ever think at the time you were managing the new manager of Manchester United at some point?
Well, what I would say about Michael Carrick was he was a super intelligent guy,
right.
And his natural ability on a football pitch made him emotionally kind of sound for the game and for after the game, because he was always had that calmness about him.
Yeah.
And I think, he started his managerial career, and he's had a good sort of ground in at Middlesbrough. He's got the experience. He'd come to Man United in a caretaker spell before and did very well. He knows the football club, and more importantly, all those big hitters who have been there in the past are going to be supportive of him.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that Amarin didn't get at times.
Yeah.
So I think he's got the backing of the ex-players and the fans, and I think that is important. But what he did really was get Man United back on the front foot.
Yeah.
It wasn't difficult what he did. It wasn't like some tactical master plan that Michael came up with.
Yeah.
He got them on the front foot, pressed them high, took a few risks at the back, and I think that's what Man United fans were calling for.
How much of it do you think was that? I mean, look, as someone, I'm an Arsenal fan, so watching Man United, it kind of fills me with dread that we've got to play them this weekend. For me, the big difference looked like Bruno back in that 10 role. Wasn't sitting as deep. Do you think that made a big difference to them?
I think so. I think when you look back at his sort of stats of what he's produced in the United shirt, playing in that role, you felt that you probably wasn't getting the most out of Bruno Fernandes. I think playing in that 10 pocket, I think particularly when we touched on Brian Bumo, of what he can give and how he can spin defenders playing through that forward area, and having someone who can supply them passes to him. He's one of the best, not only in the goal front but assist fronts, and he's back in that position where he relishes playing. So yes, I think, as I said, it's not all about, Carrick's, produce this master stroke at Manchester United. It's the first game, he's tweaked the formation. The players are there that know that they can play in them systems. And you've got Bruno playing in a position where he relishes playing, and Manchester United have the effects of that.
But I also think that, it strengthened Man United in that Bruno didn't need to defend. And, if I was a central midfielder, which I was in my heyday, which was like before the 60s, I would have loved to have played against Bruno in that number 8 role. You'd be running off for him, you'd be like knowing you could get in on goal. Because that's just not natural for him. Yeah. So actually, not only did it strengthen them offensively, it strengthened them defensively too.
I'm interested about what you're saying about with Michael Carrick. I mean, he's not necessarily gone out there and done like a masterstroke, but if he goes to Arsenal, gets a result there, then ends up, on a great, confidence run. If Man United end up with Champions League football, which, there's a big chance of that, is he enough to be a permanent manager at Manchester United? What do you reckon now?
Well, there's a lot of ifs in there. Firstly, he's got.
Well, we're going to get through it.
He's got to start. He's got to go and win at Arsenal.
Blue sky thinking here.
Listen, I'm a big fan of the fact that he's a British manager, and I think for too long the Premier League has looked abroad for the shiny star that's been doing well abroad. I think Michael knows the league. He knows the football club. I think he's got a great opportunity. But of course, all those ifs have to come to fruition. He has to sort of. Go on a great run now. And Champions League football is essential for Manchester United. You only got to look at those figures that come out this week from Deloitte to know that they're going to need Champions League football again.
Yeah, they've slipped down in that ranking for sure. Yeah. Now, much of the focus after the Manchester derby was on the war of words between Lisandro Martinez and former United midfielders Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes before the game. Butt claimed Erling Haaland, with his words, would pick Martinez up and run with him, while Scholes joked that Haaland would score and then throw him in the net. Again, their words. Well, after keeping a clean sheet, Martinez challenged the pair to speak to them face to face. It prompted Nicky Butt to tell the Argentina defender to grow up. I mean, as a result of all of that, right, we just wanted to look at the numbers and just show you how Martinez has fared against Erling Haaland since joining United. It's very interesting. The stats show. Well, he's done pretty well. In games where Martinez has started, Haaland has scored 3 goals in 5 games, but all those goals came in a derby back in October 2022. So that does mean that Haaland has actually failed to score in 4 of his 5 games against Martinez. So he's managed just 3 shots on target as well. Lee, I mean, I'll come to you. It's hard, isn't it? I mean, the lads are on a podcast. I understand they're having a laugh, they're having a joke. But were they wrong to single him out before even maybe looking at some of the records?
Yeah, I think listen, you can put it down as a cheap shot, can't you? But like you said, you're on a podcast. You're having a bit of banter and a bit of the crack, and it's easily said, isn't it? And I think it's gone on a little bit too long. I think listen, you look at the stats of what is produced defensively. I don't care height-wise if he can produce them and keep one of the world's best centre forwards quiet. He proves that he has got that mentality about him as a defender. But I just think it's just prolonging, is it? It's going on, and I think some of the players that have been at Manchester United, the guys that you touched on in Scholes and Butt, legends of the football club. I think when it gets talked about in that sort of situation, I think it gets blown up into such a bigger situation, and it's not really. It just needs resolving and put to bed, and Manchester United get on with their league form.
That's it. I mean, if you were a manager at Manchester United and your players kind of listening to what pundits like that are saying, what would you be telling them?
Well, I managed Newcastle. Noise was like constant. Yeah. You're always getting noise. You just got to ignore it really, and move. And particularly now with podcasts and everything else, social media. There's so much noise that you can't get wrapped up in it. Martinez was silly to react to it, really, in my opinion. He should have just left it alone. But, it's a storm in a key cup. It's nothing. By the way, he's a World Cup winner.
Exactly, yeah.
One of those stats might suggest that, he ain't bad.
Yeah, he's actually pretty good. Yeah, totally. Now, as always...
Wait, Matt, got to start with you. We were starting with Gareth a lot last season for obvious reasons. Liverpool were at the top, but it's changed now. Arsenal, the top team in the country right now. You must be very confident now.
Absolutely buzzing. When you look at the current situation on paper, top of the Premier League, top of the Champions League, won 7 out of 7 in the CL, 1 foot, I'd say, in the final of the Carabao Cup, and a nice, easy home game against Wigan in the FA Cup.
That won't be easy.
Heard they're easy to get at, Carragher. But it's a period in time now where it's interesting because I think the actual games that are being played, people aren't watching Arsenal, people aren't blown away by the performances. But like when you look at it on paper, like I've just spelt it out, the game has probably never been harder to win, never been harder to score. We're coming up against teams that are changing the whole style of play when they play against us to sit back and try and grind out a draw like we saw against Forest. And we're sort of just going through every single game, knowing for a fact that we probably aren't going to lose. I looked at the Forest game, right? We played 4 games away in 4 different competitions in the space of 10 days. First top flight team to ever do that. We won 3, drew 1, scored 10 and conceded 4. And everyone was only focused on the draw, on the dropped points. What's really frustrating me is actually the reaction from Arsenal fans. I think everyone else has sort of chinned the fact that Arsenal are probably going to win the league this season. But the issue is coming from the Arsenal fans. Like what we were saying about before, the power of social media and the power of us talking about, is this Arsenal's year, putting that pressure on ourselves, being a bit too emotional, it does transcend onto the pitch, especially